God uses absolutely everything about us in our callings as a way of drawing us into the fullness of our creation. Another invitation today for you to consider as you meditate on that new name. That this name, this new word, you are uniquely the only vessel that it can come through. Can't come through me or whoever's sitting next to you. So considering it this way, I invite you to consider what it might mean to use your word to expand the light here with one another and then into our community and into the world. Well, our work is done here. I haven't had a chance to say Happy New Year to everyone collectively. Happy New Year. So today is Whitestone Sunday, and for most of us here at Unity Church of the Hills, we've done a few of these. We've done a few, and we understand what that is, but we're going to go over that for you today. And if you did not receive a white stone, anybody not receive a white stone when they came in? Little square tile that is ironically white. Okay, good. We've got all that. So I'm going to go a little old school on you today as we begin the service, and I'm going to invite you to do some affirmations with me. So first, I'll do the affirmation, and then I'll ask you to repeat it, and they are up over my head. First of all, as a creation of divine love and wisdom, I am guided in all that I do. As a creation of divine love and wisdom, I am guided in all that I do. I walk in faith, guided by my inner light. I walk in faith, guided by my inner light. I step into this new year with a joyful heart. Knowing God is my source, I co-create the life of my boundless dreams. I step into this new year with a joyful heart. Knowing God is my source, I co-create the life of my boundless dreams. And so it is. In out-of-the-way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight. When your courage kindled and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure, hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. And that is a piece by John Donahue, and it is called For a New Beginning. So Tammy and I both subscribe to his newsletter called The Marginalian, and the writer of that newsletter her name is Maria Popova. Can't recommend it enough for those of us who are spiritual of heart and mind. And she told us recently in her newsletter, to begin anything, a new practice, a new project, a new love, is to cast upon yourself a spell against stagnation. Beginnings are notation for the symphony of the possible in us. They ask us to break the pattern of our lives and reconfigure it afresh, something that can only be done with great courage and great tenderness. For no territory of life exposes both our power and our vulnerability more brightly than a beginning. We empty ourselves here today in order to receive this new word or name to write on this white stone that we have. Chinese poet and sage Chuang-Tzu says we have to empty our boat, as it were. If a man is crossing a river and an empty boat collides with his own skiff, even though he be a bad-tempered man, he will not become very angry. But if he sees a man in the boat, he will shout at him to steer clear. If the shout is not heard, he will shout again and begin cursing. And all because there is somebody in the boat. Yet if the boat were empty, he would not be shouting and not angry. If you can empty your own boat, crossing the river of the world, no one will oppose you and no one will seek to harm you. And the white stone we received as we entered today could metaphorically represent the empty boat or that beginning. This is why Unity does the burning bowl at the end of one year, so that the new year can be a blank slate. We let go of the old in order to create space for the new. So the origins of the white stone comes from this service brought to you by Revelations 2:17. It's that ever so uplifting book of Revelations, right? So the verse is, let anyone who has an ear to listen to what the Spirit is saying in the churches. To everyone who conquers, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give a white stone, and on the white stone is written a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it. Metaphysically, Revelations 2:17 breaks down like this. Let anyone who has an ear to listen refers to our receptivity. We have to be open to hear it, and that means if you already think you know what your word is, you might want to let that go. This is a listening activity, a receptive activity, and it's not a mental or thinking activity that we will be participating during the meditation. Now, what Spirit says to the churches, church metaphysically represents consciousness. So it isn't a building, it's not a collection of people, but a collective or individual sense of consciousness that we are looking at when we look at the white stone and what Spirit is saying to us. And to everyone who conquers, for the metaphysicians, isn't about conquering another, but it's about conquering those little selves of ours, our ego or the part of us that is wrapped up in that world of senses. It's that part of us that buys into the collective stories of lack, the collective stories of division, the collective stories and ideas of separation. And when we conquer that part of ourselves, then we can receive the hidden manna, the bread of life, the nourishment from source, and we can receive our new name. And name refers to a divine calling, an intention, or a purpose. And that becomes the lodestar that gives us the opportunity to move forward into the new year. Now, lesson 9 of Emily Cady's classic Unity text, this one's a little hard for me anyway. We're told that an ancient custom was to hand to an acquitted prisoner a white stone signifying his starting life afresh and free from stigma. The white stone is an opportunity, a time when we come into a consciousness of our spiritual nature or that new name, and we do all that is possible to express and manifest this nature. Now, this is the part I don't necessarily like, but I'm ready for it. I'm up for it. Just to know that we are spiritual beings is not enough. It's not enough. That is the beginning. For we must begin to live the life as a child of God by using all the spiritual powers or qualities that make up our divine nature. This means we must discipline our thinking, our feeling, our speaking, our acting, and reacting according to truth with the capital T, until we are governed by the Christ, our spiritual nature, in all that we do. And this is why in Unity we have affirmations and denials. Again, Tim, was it you that mentioned? We so often look at affirmations and we forget that denials are as important as all of that as well. So the white stone is not a resolution. It's not a word or a name that is a goal. It's an inner knowing and a willingness to show up as the divine beings that we all are. Those divine beings that I see in front of me, reflected in your glorious, gorgeous faces. One of my beloved seminary professors told us in class, and I offer it to you here, that God's grace flows to all of us, and in turn, we channel God's grace as our gifts to others. God calls the creation to participate in God's mission. She defines it as the flourishing of all and the reconciliation of all aspects of the creation to one another and to God. When we discern and respond to God's callings, we come into fullness of life at the same time that our life serves others in their flourishing. This is part of the generous economy of God. This is part of a generous economy of God. It's not a zero-sum game. The flourishing of any part of the creation spills over in life to others. So this year, I'm inviting you to consider your new name as a spiritual gift, in that the metaphysical definition of name is that divine calling, that intention, that purpose. Your name is a favor or a gift from God. You know, in Christian circles, a spiritual gift is called a charism, and it's where we get the word charisma. Charism is the Greek word used in the New Testament for favor or gratuitous gift. I love that, gratuitous gift. Charisms, or these spiritual gifts, are special abilities given by the Holy Spirit to provide us the power both to represent the Christ and to be a channel of God's goodness to people. And the Greek word charisma comes from the verb charizethai. In turn, it comes from the noun charis, meaning grace. So in English, charisma was originally used in Christian context to refer to this gift or this power bestowed upon an individual by the Holy Spirit for the good of the church. And that definition is obviously, as we all know, now pretty rare. Charisma these days refers to our social or rather than divine graces. It's attributed to someone with a personality, a great personality, rather than a gift, a spiritual gift given to us by God. So again, my professor, Reverend Jane Patterson, says, God uses absolutely everything about us in our callings as a way of drawing us into the fullness of our creation. Another invitation today for you to consider as you meditate on that new name. I mean, how many times, I'm just going to confess here, I have often in the past done that word, looked at that name and thought, how is this going to shift my life? And I have not considered that it's a spiritual calling or a gift that's going to shift the way that a community, how I can contribute to a community. So how might in 2024, if we take this new name into our theme here at Unity Church of the Hills of expanding the light, how might it shift if we approached that as if we were in service to one another in that word? God is giving us this gift to be used for others as well as being in service to ourselves. God is seeking us so that this gift might pour into the world, to make manifest through us. We are uniquely the only vessel that this name, this new word, you are uniquely the only vessel that it can come through. Can't come through me or whoever's sitting next to you. So considering it this way, I invite you to consider what it might mean to use your word to expand the light here with one another and then into our community and into the world. So I'm going to cut my message short today, and I want to let you know that you can expect a much longer meditation so that you can settle in to your word today and write it. I do want to close, however, with another piece by a poet by the name of Mark Nepo. When it is we who do the stepping, it is hard to see the steps. But look where you are. Years ago, the gift you carried since birth was waiting inside for you. This very day, you're bringing what you carried through the fire into the world. Even more, you become the cup that holds your soul. You fit your gift. Your gift fits you. It doesn't matter if you have everything in place. Slow. Live this day. You have earned this view. So in a moment, we're going to do a meditation song. And I invite you to settle into the meditation. You have something to write with, your stone. Your word may not come to you. Last week, I did my word. An image may come forth. An image came forth to me for my word, so I just drew an image. And about a week later, it became apparent to me when I looked at the image what my word was. So I flipped my stone over and I wrote my word down. So whatever may come to you. So again, we're going to settle in. I invite you to do that as we begin our meditation. As you begin to think about all of the ways in which God is moving in your life, the stirrings of spirit within you, I invite you to gently close your outer eyes if you haven't already. Become present to your breath. As you allow each inhale and exhale to take you deeper into your own sacred and beautiful heart. I invite you, think about someone or something for which you are deeply, deeply grateful. Allow the power of love to ratify the space around you and to elevate it to a higher consciousness so that everyone in the room is marinating in a space of love. Let love lead the way. As you clear your mind of all thoughts about how God might be calling you forward, release any thoughts you might have had as you came into the service with a word in mind. Release that. You might imagine yourself holding that word in your hand and then blowing it away. Letting it go so that you may be an empty boat, an open vessel for the divine to fill. Release your worries. If that word was yours, it'll come back to you. Taking a deep, centering breath. I invite you to drop even deeper into a space of active listening and allowing. As we move into a time of silence, you are invited to listen. Your word, your new name, may show up in a myriad of ways. It might come in your own voice or the voice of another, as if it were being spoken to you. You might see a picture. And if your new name does not emerge today, don't judge that space. Know with expectancy and faith that your word will emerge in the right and perfect time. Know that Spirit will continue to wear upon you here and always, through you and with you, as we listen with love in the silence. Perhaps by now there have been some stirrings of a word within you. And if that is so for you, feel free to write that word on your white stone. And I invite you to allow yourself to continue to marinate on what that new name of yours might be if it has not yet come to you. And I leave you as we close the meditation, affirming that your new name, expressed through you as the embodiment of a holy gift, is unique only as it expresses as you. It is a beautiful way to begin a new year as you expand your light. And so it is.
Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful.